love the channel and find it useful in becoming a happy retiree. Subscribe today. So defense companies, under the radar, 1, 2, utility-like. So we talk a lot about electric utility companies. We've talked about Southern Company, Con Ed, you name it, many, many times for many years here on Money Matters. And I've always liked utility companies. I've always owned utility companies. But this industry, many of these defense names have a very let's call it a very similar or similarly steady revenue model, like the big utility companies. The end customer, very different, of course, but there is tremendous stickiness to the business that they do. Very difficult to find another industry that benefits more from government spending. And oh, by the way, the U.S. government is the biggest consumer of goods and services on the planet. The U.S. government buys more of goods and services than pretty much any other source you can find. And that's what these defense companies tap into. So you think about the stickiness of a utility company, your Southern Company, you and I as consumers, we don't have a lot of choice. We're gonna use Southern Company. Ultimately, we're gonna use Georgia Power or wherever you might live. Those utility dollars for your electricity, in some way, shape, or form, they're going back to the parent company, Southern Company. Whether you're in Alabama, you're in Mississippi, not a whole lot of choice. It's a little bit like that in the defense industry. There are several big players or medium players that you and I haven't necessarily, I don't talk about a lot, you might not have heard of, but they get a pretty big chunk of the defense budget, and they do it year after year after year after year. Again, to some extent, like a utility. The third and very important piece of this is that I want to talk about what the defense industry calls the fifth realm. From a national security perspective, the military has nearly, of course, always focused on air, land, sea, right? Then space, now cyberspace. Cyber defense is now the fifth realm or the fifth domain to defend. And these firms are on the bleeding edge with their technology, which makes them an interesting investment choice or an interesting investment area to look at, along with their greater utility that is protecting our nation. And, oh, by the way, the U.S. defense budget, it's going up. It's going to go up in a very big way in the next 5 years. Probably the next 10 years. That's a little far out to look at, but it's very difficult to make an argument that it's going down because nowhere do you find a projection that shows less defense spending next year and the next year and the next year. You put all that together, you got to understand the space. And oh, by the way, it's a fascinating space to understand because it'll make you feel better about being an American. You come back from D.C. after you meet with these companies, you think, wow, there's a lot of very smart people working around the clock to protect us and help the military protect us in partnership. We're just going to go through this. A couple themes today. One, defense, how our nation and the private sector is helping the military fight in the fifth domain, the fifth realm, which is cybercrime and cyber threat. Defense budgets are going up. They're going up tremendously starting next year. And the companies that are there in D.C. and around the country are utility-like in capturing that market share. They understand the government's checkbook. And they've been doing this for decades. And they know where money's headed. And they're there to capture that business. And it makes these companies a very interesting space, not only from a national security perspective, but also from an investment perspective. For years, we talked about utilities. Here today, I want to start bringing up and bringing to light the importance of the defense and the aerospace and the cybercrime defense industry after spending several days at a research conference in Washington, D.C. this week. Hi, I'm Wes Moss, and thanks for taking a minute to hear about what's so different about my new book, You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think. So unlike other retirement books, this book will give you a step-by-step guide, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, to learn from what these successful and happy retirees did to get there. I hope you enjoy the book, but more importantly,
I know that it'll help you retire sooner than you think.